this is your final warning. Okay, it really is. At least the final warning I'm going to give you on this topic. Now, I've received a lot of comments in the last week or two regarding what I will discuss today, and this is extremely important to understand because this definitely plays into the statistic that 98% of people will actually lose money this bull run, and with these massive gains due to come after we break the all-time high, it's honestly a ticking time bomb at this point. You're going to get to a level where this begins to go bye-bye and you forget all about it, and then you end up part of that insane statistic. So let me explain to you what I'm talking about. But before I do, of course, if you find yourself enjoying today's video, yes, believe it or not, lots of work goes into these videos. I would love if you hit that like button down below. You do put a smile on my face when you do that. Trust me, you do. And while you're down there, hit the subscribe button as well. Thank you very much. Now, I don't plan for this video to go for too long. I want to make it short, sharp, so you can absorb the information, go ahead and actually apply this if you really need to straight away. Because like I said, once we have this all-time high broken, once we begin trending upwards, I believe the next sort of side of things will be very sharp and powerful. And that honestly means that a lot of you will likely be caught off guard. You won't really have everything in plan because a lot of you are complacent right now. And I can't really blame you, right? The market's very boring. But mark my words, once we move out of this area, it's going to be sharp. And a lot of people are beginning to describe the next move to look something like 2018. Now, if you look back at 2018 cycle, there wasn't this sort of double hump moment. There wasn't this, break the all-time high or hit the new all-time high in the same cycle twice and then continue up some, right? That was likely due to the suppression of COVID and many other things that went into it as well. So again, you need to be prepared. I can't stress this enough. So what am I talking about? Enough waffling. That what I'm talking about here, guys, is you having your exit levels realistic and already in place without, this is the key part, moving them up as we begin trending upwards. Now, I've got a second point I do want to make in a moment, but this is going to be the main focus of this video. The thing is, and I've described this before on the channel, please let it sink in and absorb it, right? If you're someone that, and again, most of you will likely have this train of thought because we recently had the opposite of this thought recently. How many of you, honestly, right now, at some point in the last 4.5, 5 months while we've been moving sideways, thought to yourself, I might move my sell levels down. I don't feel like this is realistic anymore. Even though nothing changed fundamentally, based on data or anything else, you just felt that pessimist voice in the back of your head, that devil on your shoulder said, well, really the angel, whatever, right? Said, reduce your sell levels, these won't be hit. Okay, a lot of us, even myself to some degree. So imagine on the flip side, greed is a lot worse, in my opinion, than fear. Greed will definitely blind you, okay? It'll happen to everyone. Now, in the case that you're looking for, let's say a goal of $200,000, let's say you have 20 grand, looking at 10x that. Well, the market will likely, again, because I think a 10x at most of these recent levels are very realistic to hit in most coins, okay? And then you end up saying to yourself, well, that hit pretty easy. I didn't set sell levels. I'm going to keep looking upwards. And you do. Then you look for 250. Oh, 250 hit pretty easy. Let's aim for 300. And then 300 comes and just misses. You try to sell down here, it's a liquid on all your coins, whatever it may be, and you end up selling back, probably likely even beneath your goal of 200,000, the original plan. And this is not something I've just drummed up in my own mind. This is literally what happened to me in the last cycle. Many other influencers even that will tell you stories about this. That is fundamentally how it happened. Greed will kick in and you can't do that. So looking back to sell levels themselves, you need to set sell levels now. Now, a general rule of thumb I would go ahead and give you, again, every altcoin's different, so don't just take this on board and apply it to Bitcoin or Ethereum, Cardano. It's definitely loosely based on most of, I'd probably say outside the top 10 altcoins and down. From their recent lows in the last month or so, you can kind of say about a 10x. Now, I say that probably a 5 to 10x as the average, right? Most coins in a bull run will gain traction. Most of them will gain some sort of level of interest, but the ones that do better than that, even the large caps like ICP and so on, they can probably do up to a 20x, maybe even more. We don't really know until it's happened. And you can't likely tell this in the moment. So let's just say, for example, we're talking about ICP. It's top of my mind, right? Just cherry picking here. We have ICP. It's now hit your goal of a 10x, okay? And you're thinking to yourself, okay, well, Kyron said, many other influencers said, ICP could go to $200. Okay, let's say it's $100. So you think to yourself now, I'm going to double down. I'm not going to sell. I'm going to wait for around $200 and call it a day then. You see how you've set no plan in place? You've actually got no clear instruction on what you're doing. You're kind of just winging it and hoping it goes up because the whole market's going up. Well, again, ICP might have an update, an announcement, something negative that occurs, or maybe it just falls out of favor. Maybe AI has had its narrative pump and Web3 layer 1s, and ICP won't actually fall back into relevance again in this bull run to the same degree as other coins. Okay, what ends up happening? Again, I just showed you the example. You'll end up missing the mark. So set very clear goals. Follow those goals, backtrack, and do the work now. I cannot stress it enough. You do the work now, you can very easily assess your risk based on the multiples. If you're looking for a 10x or a 15x, you can just simply move up or on the side and then up, and you can see here what the risk looks like, as well as you can very easily tell what type of coin you're buying. Is it low risk, mid reward, therefore a 1 billion to 25 billion market cap coin? That's a little bit less risky. Is it an extremely high risk project with extremely high reward? Okay, you need to kind of break your portfolio in this way. I know, sounds kind of boring, right? Oh, I've got to put in like maybe a couple hours of work. Oh gosh, like if you're dealing with any amount of money, you're honestly like, I don't want to lose any of it, then you should put a little bit of time into that. You should treat this like it's something of importance, because really, are you going to be bummed out if you don't make any money this bull run? Likely most of you watching this are. Most of my subscribers, most of the people on this channel have a very forward-thinking approach towards this bull run. That's why I'm here, because I follow those same principles as well. Now, the next thing I want to briefly touch on is staking. Staking to some degree falls in line with this as well, because if you decide to stake, like I'm currently staking around about 6 of my tokens, Nia, Mina, Celestia, Manta, Axelar, and Hedera, you have to consider as well the fact that these have unlock times. Some of the coins, I think Polkadot as well has like a 1 month or 3 week or something like that unlock time. Celestia isn't much better. It's a 3 week unlock time, 21 days. So you've got to understand that if you are staking any tokens right now, we don't actually know when the all-time high for some of these altcoins will happen, because again, like I said in last night's video or the video right before, narratives happen at different times. And you might have AI pump before Bitcoin's all-time high, and if you're still staking in an AI asset that you haven't unstaked, you might miss it entirely. And that will cause you to, again, hold your tokens. So essentially what this video kind of can be summarized as is reducing risk in every way possible, and that goes with staking, and that goes with you being realistic. Let me just finalize up here by reiterating what I said earlier, because I think it's a very important thing for you to grasp. In the current times, how many of you, and be honest with yourself, thought and maybe even acted upon selling some altcoins or reducing your sell levels because you had that fear, you had the FUD, you had the feeling, even if you didn't act on it, like myself, hang on a second, maybe we have really high expectations here. Maybe because the market's pulled down that we shouldn't aim for these high levels, okay? That is something to consider on the flip side, on the greed. So going back to the Bitcoin chart over here, on the recent dip, again, I know this is the last cycle, right? Obviously, let's just say we were looking at a project, and this is obviously Bitcoin, but let's say the project we were looking at was Bitcoin, okay? And we were down here. You were looking at possibly getting out of Bitcoin at around about a 50% increase, okay? Realistic, obviously, again, we can kind of use Bitcoin as like a polar opposite extreme example of this, because we're not looking for 50% gains, but at that point in time, likely that wouldn't have been out the realm of possibility, right? Some people were even considering 100K Bitcoin at that point in time. So if you sold at 50% of where you were at the time at 30K, that'd be about half of $100,000. Even if it was 60K, whatever. The point being is that you were looking for a set amount of multiples. Now, given that the project moves up to that same price, okay, and this massive move here, again, this is Bitcoin, so you can imagine altcoins, massive moves to the upside, you're then so confident in that move, you're so confident in the market that you begin pushing those sell levels up and up and up, and you get to a point in time, unfortunately, where we have some of these corrective moves, like this massive corrective move here, and then you're completely crapping yourself. In your mind, you're thinking to yourself, there's 2 things I can possibly do. I can completely liquidate, which you wouldn't be able to do over here. It's too illiquid, there's too many sellers. So you'd probably find the bottom over here, panic sell, and likely because of the drawdown, get out pretty much where you started. This is the same for altcoins as well, very similar at least, okay? They move down 50, 60, 70% in these massive moves. Or you're thinking, okay, I'm stuck with this, I'm going to hold forever. What also then occurs if you decide to hold forever is, oh my gosh, the market's moving up, this is fantastic. And you're like, okay, we're back on, 100K on the cards. And then it happens again. And what do you think to yourself? You think, oh, okay, here we go again, round 3. Is it going to go up after this? and then you end up holding for infinity. Now, the market is designed this way to trick you out of your coins. So like I said, to summarize, just look for a simple 10x from these lows, guys. Just a simple 10x, right? On generally speaking, really 5 to 10x on the recent lows on each of these altcoins. If you're aiming for a 20x or more, you pretty much have to force yourself to buy the real low caps, right? The mid risk and the high risk, the yellow and red tier coins, pretty much 1 million or lower up to 1 billion. Otherwise, they likely can, but are you able to pick the ones that can do those multiples? Likely not. Likely, you pretty much have to know your research in order to find the larger cap coins that can hit the high multiples. So I'll leave it there. I don't want to carry on for too much longer, otherwise I will be waffling. I hope that makes sense. The reason being, this is the final warning. Pretty simple, right? We might move up here anytime soon. And I just want to let you all know to be realistic, okay? Because if you think about it, and then seriously think about this, most of the market loses money / makes like, I think it's $500. Like that's the majority of people, okay? I think like 2% actually make any sort of money, and I think like 1.5% of that is like over 10 grand or 10 grand ish. So like a small fraction actually makes any sort of life-changing wealth. And that makes sense because you can't have someone making $1 million and everyone winning as well. People have to lose. It's me versus you. As much as we're a community here, I mean, it's indirect, of course, but we're all fighting to make that big money. So you have to be one step ahead of everyone else. And if you're looking for high multiples, you've got to look for the small coins. Because in the large caps, you will have whales selling well before you. If I've got $1 million and I 2x that, I've generated $1 million. If you put $1,000 and you generate $1,000, $1,000 ain't that much money these days. $1 million is. Think about it like that. Talk to you all soon. All the best for 2025. Take care. Bye-bye.